thanks for coming, Dexter Mclaughlin from World Floor Coverings.
Thank you for having me.
And the reason I wanted to have you chat with me was because there's a lot of content out on my Instagram page or Facebook. Like, I'm seeing a lot of real estate investors out there teaching about like cash flow or liability versus asset and appreciation and all these like technical terms that go along with real estate investing. And people are focused on the money of it. But on the back end, it's like you still have to know what you're doing when you go and flip a house or when you own a rental property, or what types of materials you should be putting in these homes.
Yeah.
And like, Dexter, well, I guess your background, you want to give us a bit of your background?
Yes.
For flooring?
So I installed for about just over 10 years, straight out of high school, on and off a few years doing other things. But since I came out of high school, I've been installing. And then about 3 years ago, I moved into a quality control position. Did that for about 2 years. And now I've been about 6 or 7 months in the sales side of it.
And you've installed everything for floors.
Yeah. I kind of moved away. I started off doing a bit of everything and then kind of found what I liked doing and what was easier on the body, and just kept doing that.
And what's the hardest on the body?
Carpet. I would say carpet. Yeah.
Hardest on the knee, the kicking, right?
The kicking, using the kicker.
That'll get to you.
Yeah. So with that and trying to go to soccer after, it wasn't really working out.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving up in the world.
Trying to, yeah.
So, so you have tons of experience and knowledge. And with our, like, we're doing lots of flips, we're doing lots of rental properties and renovations. And then it seems like the general public just kind of go with what, like, there's kind of fads in flooring, I'd say. And at a time there was linoleum. You'd seen linoleum everywhere. Then it seemed to be like laminate was like the cool thing, I guess. Yeah. Like when I was growing up, my parents, like, everyone was putting in laminate. It's like click together. That was like the coolest thing, or floating floor. Yeah. Now it seems to be LVP or like vinyl plank. Yeah. And now I'm starting to see that laminate's back.
Laminate's coming back.
And then there's hardwood. There's engineered hardwood. When we were doing our flips, I was confused sometimes. Like, do you put floor underneath your cabinets? Do you meet up to it? It seems like everyone's doing things differently. Yeah. And so I wanted to put some content out there just to educate people of that. You can't look at building products always as like, this is a good product and this is a bad product, because people are like, oh, don't use laminate, that's a bad product. Yeah. Use vinyl plank, that's the best. Yeah. Which isn't true. Like, at the end of the day, I think it's more so that there's pros and cons to each, and we've had those conversations.
Yeah, 100%. There's pros to cons to each, and I think it's more so knowing your client, knowing their lifestyle, and what they want. There's a bunch of different things that can,
well, it just affects like the longevity of the floor, and then also we could install a floor tomorrow, like a floating floor, and then put cabinets over top and heavy quartz on top, and then we actually are going to see like some splits and issues with the floor. We experienced it recently with a house that we did like about 5 years ago. There was, some of the floor was coming apart. Had to call the warranty rep. They came in, and you've dealt with a bunch of warranty people before. They came in. They were like, "Oh, it's the wrong underlay that was installed under." We were using a different company. We weren't using World Floor Coverings at the time, and those guys were just selling us like a cheap product from China. It wasn't even the right underlay that we were supposed to be using with the flooring. Like, I have so many different stories of. One time I was just, because again, when I was getting into real estate investing, I just wanted to go with like cheap. It was like, how do you install for the cheapest amount of money, but make it look good? And I was looking on Kijiji, and then it was some guys like, I have like the best priced flooring in Edmonton. So I go check out his showroom. It's actually like his basement. So he's like, come to meet at my house at this time. And we like go down to this dungy basement, and he sells me this, I think it was a laminate at the time. Yeah. Sells me boxes of laminate, and called him back later about it and like could not get a hold of him, but I'm pretty sure like he was stealing this floor from somewhere.
No way.
And then just selling it out of his basement. But me just being naive, like I had to learn the lesson of working with like a reputable team where you guys use reputable products. And the thing that I like the most when I walked into your guys' showroom, you're like, if we have an issue with any product, we just pull it off the floor. So, I guess you can tell a bit more about your flooring store and how you guys work, how you guys choose what you're using and the team that you have there.
Yeah. I've been at Worlds for probably 6 to 7 months now. There was new owners took over about 2 years ago, Mike and Marcus. They're building quite the team over there. There's a few guys that had been over there for a while that they've kept on board, and then they've kind of built a team around that. I would say most of their work they're going after is insurance works, probably the majority of our work, and then we're starting to move into like new construction. We got some builders that we're working with, and the biggest part I think I see is exactly what you're talking about is people saying vinyl's the best, and then not kind of building to what they want in their life. It's just the fad, or everyone heard vinyl's the best, but why is it the best? What's going to work for you? And what are your goals with your product? It just doesn't make sense for everyone to go and put vinyl in their house.
Well, and the application too, like, because there's a click down vinyl, there's glue down vinyl. So it's like there's different, it comes down to like the preparation. I found like the preparation of your floor is huge. So you could have a great product, but it's not prepped properly. And then also the install, like you guys hire some really good installers that.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say that's probably the biggest thing in flooring is your preparation work and the stuff you do beforehand, getting it ready. You could have the best product just thrown in a basement you've done no work to, and it's going to fail. The standards for a lot of the vinyls too, it's almost like a glass sheet floor. You need it pretty perfect to not have any issues. So it's knowing prep's probably number one, and then just knowing the proper steps of what's going to work for you and how your product's going to perform the best probably.
Yeah, well, and I think the team aspect too, I think a rookie mistake that I did when I was first getting into investing in renovations was that I was finding, let's say, like a supplier. So you go to Home Depot and you pick up a product there, or random guy's basement on Kijiji. Like you get this good or bad product. Yeah. And then now I'm finding a separate installer to put that in. And then if there's an issue down the road, then it's kind of like the blame game where like the installer's like, oh no, you bought some garbage from Home Depot. And then you go talk to Home Depot, they're like, oh no, it wasn't installed properly. So the nice thing is that you guys have you guys have the people to help with design, first of all, then guys like you to come like look at the space and set it up properly, then the guys who do the prep and the guys who install. So it's like if we have any issue, I just talk to you.
Yeah, exactly that. And you do see that often where people will go to Home Depot or Rona and the blame game gets passed around a lot like that. We're a one-stop shop. You come in, we have an interior designer in there. We have 2 lovely ladies that help out in the showroom with the selections and the process of that. And then we have, I'd say we're close to 10 project managers. We kind of oversee the project, go to site, measure it up, and then kind of follow the whole project through. So yeah, there's one point of contact, and then we have all our installers. They technically are subcontractors, but they do work for us daily. And then we've kind of have a good team put in place that we're not getting a bunch of callbacks. We're not. It's a smooth process.
Well, and you guys aren't just calling off Kijiji either,
exactly.
Right? It's not like you guys just getting the random guys out there.
And I've had some horror stories. I won't name any places, but I've seen places where it's just get it in. It doesn't matter who we have doing it. Get it in. We'll deal with it later if we have to. So
not a place you want to be.
No.
Going. We actually used to use a different company, and we had an issue with one of the installs, and the owner of the company came to look at the project, and he just said, "Well, the house is just not the house isn't level." Yeah. So I said, "Okay, well, isn't that your installer? Like, shouldn't your installer figure that out for us?" Well, Yeah, but well, I said, well, go talk to your installer. Well, I can't. I don't have his number anymore. I don't know where he went. So obviously, he's just hiring like a random guy off Kijiji, and just leads to issues. So, anyways, know who you're working with. I can vouch for these guys. They do a really good job. But this isn't just like an advertisement for World Floor Coverings here. It's more to just talk more about what kind of floors are out there, pros and cons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Through that. So I think. We might as well just start with LVP, or luxury vinyl plank, as they call it, or vinyl tile. What's kind of out there? Why do people love it? And what are some things that people should be looking out for when using it?
Oh, with luxury vinyl plank, the go-to for it is its water resistance, and everyone thinking that it's waterproof. And now if they have any floods or spills or anything, that there won't be any issues, which isn't always the case. Anytime you're having a flood that is getting under the product, you're most likely taking it up. And depending on what type of water is, if it's sewage or any type of dirty water, it's mostly coming up too. So it's you
don't want that poop water just underneath.
You got to get that stuff out either way. So since we deal with so much insurance work, we do see often people come in, they want vinyl instantly. And stuff they don't think about too is if you had laminate or hardwood and you want to move to vinyl, you have your height differences. So now are you replacing all your casings? Are you replacing all your baseboards? There's a lot of other things to take in consideration, and especially depending on where your budget's at as well. I'd say the biggest thing too for vinyl that I've seen over the years is people bringing in vinyl from in containers. I know a lot of shops do that. Knowing what the product is, what type of locking system it has, its wear layers. Knowing those things are huge. People just say, it's waterproof, go to vinyl. And if you get a $2 vinyl, it's the cheapest vinyl you can find. Or if you're getting a $4 laminate that's waterproof, it just beats your...
Right.
It's knowing exactly why you're getting it and what you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good analogy to describe, like you're saying, vinyl can't just be put into this like one category of like, if you have vinyl, then that means you're getting X.
Exactly.
So wear layer, do you want to talk about wear layer a bit, like what that means?
Wear layer's the protection on top of the product. There's a wide range of wear layers.
Starting at kind of 2.
Yeah, you could get from you go 6 to all the way up to 20. There's 30, but that would be more commercial wear layer. You'd probably be good with 20, and your house is pretty scratch resistant, so you would have no issues with that. Right,
so the wear layer, that's going to tell you, like how resistant it is to scratching, like the wear and tear of the product.
Yep.
But then there's also another number that's going to be thrown at you, which is the thickness of the product. So why does that matter?
The thickness, especially, it depends. We can break it down even more. It's hard to break it down unless someone's looking for that exact product. But there's WPC, which is just how it's made. SPC, Cortec. There's a bunch of different vinyls within vinyl. So when someone just broad ranges vinyl's better. Yeah. There's also glue down, click together. Like there's a bunch of different things. So to put it as one in one perspective, kind of doesn't make sense. WPC is like a wood composite it's made out of. SPC is a stone, so one will be harder, one will be softer, one's more expensive, one's a little bit cheaper. Right. So again, finding out what your client wants and what works best for them.
Right. And big price range. So some people think when they hear, like if they come look at a nice vinyl plank, I find that a lot of clients or people that we work with, like they just look at the color.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, it must be more expensive because like the color is really nice.
Yeah, or it looks a little better. The design looks a little better.
Or it's like, well, no, this will actually last a lot longer. The wear layer is thicker.
A lot better.
Or even like, the click system. So if you're going with a click, which is typically what you guys recommend is going with a click. Where would you use a click and where would you not use a click?
Typically you'd see clicks mostly on the main floors areas. And most of the time you'd see glue down towards like concrete or basements or high rises or that kind of deal. They're definitely suitable for both. It just depends, again, what you're looking for.
And how level your floor is, right?
Exactly. And that's with the glue downs as well. got to be careful depending how thin you go, that your prep just has to be that much more. So maybe you are saving a bit of money by going with a cheaper product, but your prep's going to have to be that much more better. You'll see anything through the 2 mil vinyls.
Right. Yeah. So some of the cheaper products that you're going to go out and buy, you're either going to see, when you look at your floor, you're going to see the humps and bumps, or you have to level out your floor perfectly. I think everyone just like assumes that their floor is perfectly level, and that's like rarely the case, especially on a basement. Like a basement where there's concrete, it's going to have dips and bumps and settling, and it's rarely going to be perfectly flat. So that's where we typically use like a glue down. In the basement. It not only adheres better to the concrete, but also, if you do have a little hump or bump here and there, that's where your click product. The click is, easy and fast and good to put together. But as soon as you start having some humps or bumps or dips, then that's where that click, where it clicks, will over time slowly come apart or break. And that's what I think you're talking about before, where it's not only just like the vinyl product that you're buying, but you also look at the click system. So it might cost more, and it's not only because of the wear layer or the color look of it, but it could also be because of the click system or how thick it is, so that you're not having pieces break apart or come apart. Yeah, and that's time, right?
One you've seen a lot of when you hear horror stories, is the coming apart or the lifting, or the tongues themselves will start. You can almost see them start to shine, and then they'll break up. And especially when vinyl first came out, you'd see a bunch of those issues. They're kind of getting better at it now. And again, it's knowing what company and what products will perform. But you see those issues when they were putting cabinets over top of stuff. Floating products have to be able to expand and contract. Mm-hmm. Once you pin it down with, say, cabinets, silicone, people don't think of that, or like flush mount stair nosings are in too. If those are glued or attached to any of the floating products and can't really move anywhere else, that's where you might start to see those issues of splitting or lifting or breaking. So. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to simplify that, it's basically that, like, if there's like a floating floor would be considered something that's not glued or attached to the floor. So any kind of click product, like a laminate, there's click, vinyl plank, there's a click floating product, vinyl even vinyl tile, but there's even some like engineered hardwoods that are floating, and that just means that it's not connected to the floor. The issue that you're talking about is, which I've Googled, a couple of years ago. I was like Googling what comes first, the floor or the cabinets? And you made it really clear to me that if you have a floating floor of any kind that is not attached to the ground, that needs, because we have minus 40 and plus 30, plus 40, I guess we saw, the product is going to expand and contract constantly. And so if your cabinets are sitting on top, or anything is glued or sitting on top of something that's floating, a floor that's floating, you're going to have buckling issues, cracking, like you're talking about. So, homeowners, I guess, if you're buying a house and a house looks beautiful when someone's flipping the house, if you're not working with someone who, really knows what they're doing on the construction side or flipping properly, that beautiful house could be coming apart and looking like garbage, and you're having to redo the whole flooring in a matter of months to a couple years.
It doesn't take long. I've seen it happen within a few months, and I've seen it happen then once you go through a couple seasons. So spring comes, winter comes, and you're back to summer, and you'll start to see a lot of those issues too. So
and even in the new build, like you said, you're working with some new builders.
Yeah.
You don't have to name the names, but you had to get some warranty work in. What happened? You walked in and just everyone's floor was... Again,
this is at a different shop previously that I worked for. But we had been doing some new builds on an entire street, and I was going there probably, and this is, again, about 6 to 8 months later, but I was going there about once or twice a week to look at another claim where they had gone under all the cabinets. All the other rest of the installation was done properly.
It was a floating vinyl?
LVP. Yeah, we cut the proper amount away from all the walls. Again, silicone was used in the bathroom. You get the reps out. They come look at it. They say, yep, the prep was done right. Yep, the expansion gaps are done correctly. You see these issues, they're happening in the kitchen, they're happening in the living room. Why is that? Oh, you guys went under the cabinets. It has nowhere to move, expand and contract. That's why you're seeing all these broken lips again, the reps try to look for everything. So you got to make sure you're following your specs pretty tightly.
So you have to go in for like how much, like you said, streets of homes?
I would say about 10 houses on this street we were
having to rip out.
Replacing floors, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And again, with the vinyls too, like if you know how to properly do it, you can do board replacements and fix some issues. But unless you're fixing the problem of why it's happening, it's going to keep happening, and you're going to be ripping it out.
Okay, so good to know that if you have any kind of floating floor, do not glue anything to it. Let it float. Let it move. Don't put your cabinets on top. Put your cabinets down first, and then put your flooring up to it, or else that's going to cause issues. And I think the other thing that's kind of scary is that people just think of warranty almost like as this like sigh of relief, or it's like almost it's this insurance claim basically of like, well, if I buy a new house with blah blah blah, maybe they haven't built a ton of houses in Edmonton, but I have a new homeowner's warranty. You know, realtors say that all the time.
Yeah.
When you buy a new house, you get a warranty. Yeah. So what's the downside? Exactly. Well, the downside is these guys, it doesn't mean that they know what they're doing and that they're installing properly. And even if they, will cover the cost of fixing this, like you have to basically move out of your house or like move everything. Like it's just a nightmare. Just that
trade. You have your baseboard guys coming back. You have people that need to move all the furniture. You have plumbers that need to come to disconnect everything. It becomes
maybe you have to take out the cabinets, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So just nightmare situation that you don't want to be in. And the other thing is, like, let's say a renovation company or someone wants to get a renovation done, and they go to a flooring store and you tell them, hey, this floor has what's kind of standard warranty, 25 years?
Yeah. You can get 25 years, 20 years, 15. I'd say more so they're moving up to that 20 plus range.
Which sounds great in theory, and it's a selling feature. So people go, oh, okay, that's great. If I have an issue in 20 years, like this is going to last. The thing that they don't tell you is, first of all, it's just on materials, right?
Yeah. And you avoid that warranty pretty quick if you're not following the specs, which you see often if it's not done by a professional. Specific,
you can do it.
Specifications? Specifications, geez. Got a little tongue-tied there. They're pretty tight. It's like typically 3/8 within 10 feet for deflection. Again, you can have a flat floor. You just can't have it uneven. You'll start to get like the clapping sounds for floating. And then, like you said, with the glue downs, they'll sit nice on it, but some people might not want to see like a wavy floor. You'll avoid your warranty pretty quick if you're not looking through that.
So can we say the warranty's kind of a scam?
I wouldn't say so much a scam. It's just follow it, or most people, professionals will follow it. We'll make sure that you're doing it all.
Most
all the
professionals,
most professionals, yeah. But where we're at, we make sure that if we bring it to your attention, and a lot of people might say we don't want to be spending that kind of money in prep. We'll bring it to your attention first, and do you want us to proceed? We think like we're not going to put it in if it's not going to perform. Yeah, but we'll get it to a standard where it will still perform, but you may not.
Yeah.
Get it to the exact spec.
Yeah, so I've seen that before, where it's like put in floor, looks really good, and then have some issue, warranty guy comes in. They're looking for like every reason not to kind of pay out that warranty, and it's just something I just don't think you want to get to that point. No. So it's kind of like spend the money on the prep.
Yeah.
Work with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Get the right product in your house, and it can't all be about money, because maybe you save a bit of money now, but it's just not going to pay in the long term.
No, especially, and that's the thing. Anyone can make a flip look good for a month or till it's sold. Yeah, but you definitely want to have a product that's going to perform and live to your lifestyle.
Right.
I have a lot of people too. Like, say you're building a dream house right now and you're putting carpet in. People even now come in and be like, oh, carpet's done. I'm like, no, we still do a ton of carpet. But for you might think a nylon carpet, it's a better, higher end product. For me, a polyester might make more sense. more stain resistance if I have some buddies over, spill something. Like it's knowing what makes sense for you.
Yeah.
And I can't stress that enough, because we do get too many people that come in and be like, oh, vinyl's the best. Oh, I need vinyl in my house. It's, why do you need vinyl?
Well, it's waterproof.
Yeah, it's waterproof. It's waterproof on top, and the waterproofing for a lot of terms, even in the laminates, is up to a certain time. It's not like it can be submerged in water for all the time.
Yeah.
It might be until you get home, 72 hours. It all depends on each product.
Yeah, I just say it's more like durable, but the thing is, people just think it's indestructible, and that's just not the case. So, okay, so we scared everyone with the idea of like floating floors.
Yeah.
And that things are going to buckle and crack and like have issues there. Not if you do it properly, of course, but okay, so then the next I would say is, well, now I just want to go with glue then. Glue's the best, because if you have, let's say, a scratch on one piece, you can easily just pull out one piece. You're not going to have buckling, cracking, but what's kind of tell us a bit about glue down vinyl plank.
Yeah, there's a ton of different glue down planks. We do a lot of it in the commercial areas and basements as well. You see it a lot of people put it in the little laundry rooms, anywhere where you have a ton of water.
Biggest issue, or biggest thing that we've seen that it works well for, like you said, basement. So if your floor is not perfectly flat, then you can get away with some of those little imperfections. But then I know I was talking to you, I said, well, let's just put it everywhere. Let's put it upstairs. And the prep work that goes into it often, makes it a lot more expensive, because it doesn't adhere or doesn't stick to wood, or like sometimes if you want to go over top of an old type of floor, like a click is better. Yeah. So what do you have to do if you want to do a glue down on like your main floor, let's say?
You would need a good one side subfloor, so that's where it can get expensive. With the prices of plywood and Ulay, how expensive they're getting, it might not make sense to do that. And again, it's comfort as well. Like you're talking about a 2 mil to a 6 mil vinyl. So in a basement, it might be a little bit colder than your typical 8 to 12 mil LVP or laminate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, everything will have their disadvantages. The glue down, you'll see it might wave a bit. It might look a little odd to the eye. It depends what you're looking for. You'll see everything through it. You have to, your prep, the job we just completed with you guys, we prepped, we skim coat, we sanded even after we're done the patch. It was a 2.5 mil. It's going to perform well, but your prep had to be good. It had to have all the right steps prior to just putting that in there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're not going to have the buckling, but it's going to be colder on your feet because it's thinner, the glue down. And like if there's a scratch, you can take out one instead of like a click where you have to take out a bunch and fix it. But the biggest thing you said there is that you need to do like a subfloor.
Yeah, on your main levels, you have to put a good one side subfloor down,
which can get costly pretty quickly. I guess that brings me back to another question. Was we were talking about going, like everyone these days seems to not want to pull up old floor. It's like, let's say we have a floating laminate.
Yeah.
Like my parents have like a floating laminate throughout their basement. It's outdated now. So instead of pulling that up, they're just like, let's put another floating product right over top.
Yeah.
What are the issues of that? Or what do you think of that?
Floating over floating is not a good idea.
Okay, why?
You don't want too much movement ever. Even with the pads, like a lot of people will say, why can't I put a carpet pad under a vinyl? Like, would that not be more cushion and more comfortable? I'm like, no, they only perform to a certain amount before you're going to snap those lips. Right. So floating over floating, there'd be too much movement. It's just like, it's a no in the industry to be doing that. If you see that, I would be questioning them.
Yeah.
You do see it over, like, you could go over like the glue downs, the vinyls, the ceramic tiles. You see it often. Anything that was containing asbestos. Yeah. That kind of stuff you see stay a lot. The VCT tiles, the old peel and stick tiles. Yeah.
So anything that's glued down, no problem. Go over top.
Correct.
That's fine. Anything that's floating, that floor has to move, and then your floating floor on top has to move. So then it's just going to create.
Yeah, and there's too much risk for movement, and there's a lot of issues that can happen by going floating over floating.
Stay away from it.
Stay away from that, and also knowing like you can go over a layer or two, but you don't want to be going over. You'll see often in places they've gone 3 layers of lino. Now you don't want to put a floating product over that, like especially if it's, and
because
again,
it's too spongy.
Too spongy, yeah. A lot of the click together products only perform with a certain amount of movement, and that's why they have specific underlayments for that as well.
You're good with that word.
Yeah.
So when you're stepping down, then it's just creating too much cushion, and then
too much movement for those locking
you
systems.
go, hey, warranty guy, your floor is garbage. They come and they actually say, well, you actually didn't prep the floor properly. You can't go over top of a bunch of floors before. Okay. And
then people get the wrong idea too. Like, you can go over a lot of this stuff, but if it's already peeling up or lifting or it's not adhered properly, you're going to see those issues too of it moving or not staying properly down to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then, that covers a lot of vinyl stuff, and I think like the biggest thing is these vinyl planks compared to the old laminate are very flexy. Like there's a lot of flex to it and movement. They're a lot thinner, good price point. People didn't like laminate because of water. Like water touches laminate, it starts to expand, and people are like, oh, we want something more water resistant or whatever. So then they go with vinyl. But now we're seeing this vinyl stuff where we're really having to prep the floor. There can't be too much movement, blah, blah, blah. So now people are talking about, like you're saying in your store, you're actually bringing a lot of laminate back, which shocked me. I was like, oh, I'd never buy laminate. But now that I see, issues ever so often with the vinyl plank and the, the click together or whatever coming apart, laminate's making a comeback.
Yeah, and I don't want to say, we've talked about a bit of the negatives about vinyl. Vinyl's it's an amazing product. We sell a ton of it, and it performs well. I try to stress to everyone, it's not positive and negative to every product that we have. There's going to be that, and they're just getting better and better each year. The vinyls, when they first came out, you were seeing a lot of those issues. You're seeing less and less of those issues now. Coming out with better pad attached to the back, made with better products. You have a Core-Tech. There's a bunch of different reasons why they're getting better with technology and everything as well.
Well, and that's laminate too now, right? So if we're talking about like our parents' old laminate flooring, like that doesn't even compare to what's on the market now. No. And I think that's where my mind was like, I already made up in my mind that I'm like, no, laminate's just outdated and garbage, and like if you spill a drop of water on there, it's toast, right? So what are some of the changes? I guess I was talking before about vinyl's a little bit more flimsy. Laminate is not. Like laminate is very strong.
Exactly,
which makes that click way better. But what else is a positive of laminate right now?
The warmth's a big one. And like you're saying, how strong they are. The problem they were having, a lot of those high rises are built quick. They have to lay those slabs pretty quick, so you'll get a lot of the movement in there, and you can prep it to a certain point. But those vinyls, again, touchy, where the laminates
is just going to go right over top.
Yeah,
you're not going to have that slapping.
Yeah, and again, you want to have it within the tolerance, but you might get away with a bit more with that. And then how durable they are, laminates. Like if you have kids and pets, they're pretty hard on the floors, so laminate performs pretty well.
Well, and would you say they're still like brutal with water? Like you don't want to keep them around water, or are they putting like a better water resistant layer on top? Or?
Again, it depends what type of product. You'll have the ones that still, if water touches it, you're going to see issues, and you have ones now that have water resistance tendencies in them, and some that are waterproof or water resistant.
Why do you say waterproof?
Waterproof will.
There's no such
I hate
thing?
using the word waterproof. A lot of even the products will have like a waterproofing on the top, but anytime it would get in between one of the joints or underneath, it'll swell up, or if it sits there long enough.
Right. So they're making the top better, so like water spills on it, wipe it up, it's going to be totally fine. you don't want anything submerged in water. So it still has the issue of like it will absorb water, have issues with water.
Correct.
But they are making it a lot better that they're going to last longer than.
And we do even have some laminates now that are submerged too, which is throughout water resistant. So
like you can install it in a bathroom.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think.
Yeah. So the laminate's making a comeback. And again, it had the nice visuals, and how it performs scratchers. I have 2 dogs. I put laminate on my main floor.
Yeah.
I put glue down in the basement. I knew, for me, those work. I have 2 pets. Yeah. Laminate's a strong, durable product. I like the visuals. They almost look like hardwood, some of them now.
Yeah.
And
the price point.
The price point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it didn't make sense when I was building a house, my first house, 3.5 years ago. I would love hardwood in there. Just for me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I have the pets.
Yeah.
The cost at the time to build a new place.
Yeah.
Kind of have to work with what you got.
So then hardwood and engineered hardwood, I think in my mind and naturally think like, oh, that's just in like expensive houses. That's just an expensive product, which isn't really the case. I think you can find LVP products that actually cost more than some engineered hardwood and just general hardwood. But what's kind of the pros and cons with those products?
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's such a range in all products that there's high-end luxury vinyls that are more expensive than hardwoods. And I would say hardwood has an expensive range.
Yeah.
So you don't see it everywhere. And you find, I would say, over the years, the older generations love the wood. They love the look of it.
The feel. I think the feel is a big thing for me.
The feel, the warmth. And then most people know then they can have it forever. They can resand, refinish it.
Right.
You don't have that. A lot of people can't stand, like, if you can feel movement in a floor, even if it's a slight bit, you'll always feel that with a floating floor.
Right.
But if you're someone who hates that,
yeah,
you're going to find it on any floor that's floating. So,
right.
Yeah, I would say the biggest things for wood are the visuals of having a natural wood in there.
Yeah.
And then the feel of it as well.
Yeah, totally. That's something for me. Like, I just can't get over it. In my house, we have engineered hardwood, and it's just like, because there's some good looking laminated vinyls that look identical.
Yeah.
But man, walking on it, you can definitely feel the difference. So that's a huge pro for me. And actually, like, the price per square foot that we got for ours, I think, was like in the $5-6 range. So it's actually, you can get some good product for a reasonable price. And that was kind of the selling feature for me. And on the main floor of our house, we could, like, you can either glue it or you can nail it down.
Yeah.
And then there are some floating
as well, which
engineered.
is like a glue tongue and groove. So you just glue the locking system itself to keep it together.
Right.
Hardwood, your big thing, you want humidity and temperature, which if you're seeing issues or if you've been in a house where you've seen there's started to gap or you could fit like a loonie in between.
Yeah.
Especially in our climate where the temperature is changing all the time.
Yeah.
You're going to want to make sure you're containing that 35 to 55% humidity.
Right.
At all times.
Yeah, so that's probably the biggest con, I guess, is just like the maintenance of a hardwood and an engineered hardwood, is that we're going to get the most expansion and contraction throughout the products, right? Yeah. And then, you got to keep the humidity, like, you got to be checking out your humidity all the time and making sure that you're not having big fluctuations in heat temperatures and
about 5 degrees.
Humidity.
You don't want to go more than 5 degrees within 24 hours, I would say. In a house, it's pretty easy to maintain, but you'd be surprised how often you're running into those issues. So if you have the proper people on site, typically they'll be doing the temperature checks, the humidity checks, even testing the wood moisture content of the product as well. Mm-hmm. Those are all things to look for when your installers are on site, mm-hmm. or even to bring to their attention to see if they're even aware of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then a big thing you'll see for flips or people doing it on their own, they're not climatizing the product to their place. So they're getting it to site, to their house, installing it the next day. Yeah.
So you're just like in the flooring game. So the terminology you use is like is beyond. But I guess simplifying that is that, and I've seen it. I used to do this when I first started flipping, but I've seen other people just on Instagram posting like they're at, I don't know, they're like at framing stage, or like they don't even have the furnaces going in their house, but they already have the flooring like in boxes on their in their living room. The issue with that is like if it's constantly going from cold to hot to cold and back and forth, and it's always moving and like could be warped, and the moisture gets at it. So you guys do a really good job of, keeping the humidity and the temperature controlled of where you guys have the product. And then you bring it on site just, not the next day before you install it, but you actually bring it to a few days ahead of time just to allow it to climatize. You said like 5 days.
72 hours. About the minimum you want is about 3 days you want it in there prior.
Yeah.
Depending, even your hardwoods, especially in our climate, I would try to get it in there a bit sooner than that as well. When wood heats up and it's going to expand. When it's cold, it's going to shrink. So if you bring it in, especially in the winter, and who knows where it was sitting at a warehouse, it might not be regulated temperatures.
Yeah, if you buy it off Kijiji out of Buddy's basement or out of his garage, right? You're loading it up in his garage and then installing it the next day, then it's just asking for issues.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that a ton out working at different spots where, we just put it in the garage. Yeah. Like we're installing tomorrow.
Do not do that.
Do not put that in.
Yeah. And then, oh no, you sold me a bad product. It's like, no, you just don't know how to take care of it.
Exactly.
So, making sure that that's all ready to go. And then once your house is kind of regulated at the right temperature, because some of these flippers, are installing and the house is still cold. Yeah. Or whatever. Like we need to keep that temperature consistent for sure for hardwood and engineered, but also vinyl, right? Like you'll see vinyl move a lot too. Laminate probably less.
A little bit less, but all of them,
they're all going to move.
They're all going to, depending on the temperatures, and I've seen a lot of horror stories like that, so I can't stress enough to, and people overcompensating for it too. Yeah. I've gone to sites, a funny story.
It's like 35 degrees on site.
I've gone to sites where people have like 3 or 4 humidifiers that they've put in their place and boiling water on their stove to get the humidity up. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't install this today. They're like, why? We heard that you need it at this. I thought the 55. Yeah. I was like, there's a wide range, but you want to maintain what your space is usually going to be like.
It's keeping it constant.
Because you're not going to always have these humidifiers going or the water like this. And
don't tell them how to live.
Yeah.
Maybe they will.
Maybe they do that, yeah. But no, I've seen some funny things. It's maintaining how you live and finding products that work in your lifestyle.
Yeah. The other thing, so humidity, like that's something that's tough with hardwood. But the other thing is, if you have pets, like, your hardwood's going to get scratched up, right?
Yeah. Pets, hardwood's tough on. Again, water's a big yikes for any type of wood product, so being careful with water on that. And a lot of things that people don't think of that I try to mention just because I have pets and have worked in the industry for so long. Hard products on stairs are so hard on your pets. So, and a lot of people won't ever hear that or know that, but we even got an email. A client just had a product done through someone else, and now they're looking for some carpet, a runner, or even change to carpet, and they just had hard surface done on their stairs, so it's quite expensive to do as well. Yeah. But they're saying their old dog won't even go up the stairs anymore. Oh, no. And it's something that wherever they went didn't mention that. Yeah. That's an issue that a lot of people don't even think about.
They just think of the look, right? Yeah. I just want this pretty whatever.
Look easier, like especially with hard surfaces, it might be easier to clean than say carpet. Yeah. I did exactly that. I put carpet on my stairs. I have 2 dogs. I know. Yeah. I know. I don't want their joints sore. Yeah. It's a little bit dirty. We're always running in and out. Yeah. But it makes sense for us.
Well, and the thing for the install too, like people are like, well, carpet doesn't last. But it's also super easy to. When I say super easy, it's with the quotations, but to pull out your old carpet and to get new carpet put in is going to be like 1,000 times easier than if you put some kind of nice hardwood everywhere and then that gets scratched up and you want to replace that. So again, pros and cons. A lot of the rental properties we were doing in the past, we just put carpet on the stairs going down to the basement suite. Then we'd get calls after a couple of years of these landlords being like, oh, the tenants just like don't take care of the stairs and the carpet gets beat up. So then we're putting vinyl plank down. But then, it costs more to do that, or yeah, like you're saying, like maybe the pets don't like it as much or
Yeah.
whatever. So pros and cons there, but I know that we could just, pull out that old carpet on the stairs, put some new carpet on, and it's like pretty reasonably priced and quick and easy to do. You don't have to redo the baseboards, any of that stuff. It's pretty much like in and out in a day.
And you could probably do that a few times before you get up to that price of hard surface.
Yeah, exactly.
Because typically you're doing your stringers, so you need the custom capping, you need the custom nosings. It's going to look incredible, and if it's for your forever home and it's something that you're in love with, it's definitely beautiful. But does it work for you?
Yeah, exactly. Tile. If we go down to the world of tile, like that's a super, super durable product.
Yeah.
But what are some pros and cons of tile? I know that there's a lot of prep work and there's a lot of
again cost.
Yeah.
It's more expensive than typical product. There's a lot more that goes into the tile. Mm-hmm. Even on the install points, returning to sites, you have to come back to grout. You're cleaning. There's a process to the tile, and it's extremely hard to find good tile installers, and the ones that know what they're doing, when to waterproof, what to use.
Mm-hmm.
Often you'll see people just putting tiles in, not using the leveling clips, which is a clip that goes under your product. You put a piece underneath, tighten it. There's a few different ways you can do it, and it kind of gets away from the imperfections that you can't really do with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So our guys have to put them in anything over 12 by 12 tile.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big one I've seen in the industry where it's not a standard everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely notice it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, finding good tile installers, once you find a good one, it's like keep them there. I think a lot of people think tile is just super, super durable, and it's kind of like once you put it in, you're not going to have any issues, even with like tub surrounds. Like you put tile around your tub or whatever. And then I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago, and they didn't realize like you actually have to like take care of your grout lines and like the tile, because it doesn't mean that like water's never going to get through it or behind it. So, I guess you can talk about some of the renos. I guess like you have a shower for like 20 years and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And then they go do a reno, you pull off the tile and it's like everything behind the wall is all moldy.
Yeah.
So what are you guys kind of doing differently to avoid that?
Again, things are getting better too. There's better systems out for that. The membranes, the Ditras, there's a bunch of different stuff now that
it's the waterproofing system behind your tile.
Exactly. And knowing when to put it there and where it goes. There's different applications. There's a roll-on products that's almost like painted on.
Yeah.
There's the actual membranes themselves. A lot of people don't use those, and that's where you'll see those issues. We waterproof all our showers.
But once it's installed, so once you have this nice shower with tile surround, we have to do it for most of our basement suites because it's hard to get those tub surrounds down to the basement. So typically we're doing those. So what do you say to the landlords? Because not just like a set and forget it. Like what kind of maintenance? Because I know some of the grout lines. Like, are you having to clean those grout lines or waterproofing them, or
more so now the grout that's coming out will have a lot of those built into it now.
Yeah.
So there's not so much of the staining or the coatings that you have to put on after like you used to have to.
Yeah.
A lot of them are built in now. More so you see with like your grout's going to discolor over time.
Yeah.
We try to recommend a little bit darker.
But everyone's going white these days.
And depending on your lifestyle and how you live, you have to maintain that, cleaning it all the time and staying on top of it.
Yeah.
But it will darken either way.
So I guess the grout, that's kind of what goes back to our conversation of like the laminate and the LVP. Like there's so many different types and prices. So it's not just a matter of like getting the cheapest one from Home Depot.
Correct,
that you have to actually look into the properties of that to know if it has like a stain blocker built in or like waterproofing or
exactly
anything like that. Okay. So that's good to know. Then on the floor, I've seen, again, flippers, it looks amazing that for that first month or whatever. And then, the tile starts cracking. So, I think it's that, like the subfloor, right? And the prep work that sometimes DIY people or these flippers are going in and just putting in tile on the floor somewhere, and they don't realize that you need to like reinforce your floors, right?
Reinforce it, and knowing the proper materials. Tile, there's a bunch of different reasons tile can go wrong, and that's why you need a good installer, because there are horror stories when it does go wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see a ton of places that they flipped it, and then a year down the road, either all the grouts cracking or crumbling out, or tiles are loose or popping, and it could be for a bunch of different reasons. It doesn't take too much water, more than that's recommended, or a little less for your mortar or thin set to, that's just how the tiles is applied.
Yeah.
For that to not be set properly, with tile, you have to screw, I would say, within 4 inches in the surface and about 2 inches on the border.
Yeah.
Screw down everywhere, because if there's any movement too, your tile will start to crack, or grout will crack or pop, or you'll see those issues where.
Well, and like 3/4 inch plywood should be going under, like reinforcing your floors to make sure that there's no movement.
Yeah. You can even install, like we'll put 3/8 over, like
existing. Or yeah. So it just
it's doing it the proper way and using the proper wood.
Yeah.
And then again, now that they have these types of membranes that you can install under too, there's anti-crack membranes. Just a thin sheet will help with the cracking and that kind of stuff too. Or there's the Detra plastic. You can go put that stuff over OSB and install over that as well.
Right. So I think it's like YouTube and like the internet is like such an amazing blessing in our life, but then it's also like
a curse.
Because everyone thinks that they can paint and everyone thinks that they can do tile because they just like YouTube. And then, you buy some nice fancy tile, you spend all this time, and then it's cracking. Now the next case is like you pull it up and you're like, forget it, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to call buddy on Kijiji. And then you call buddy on Kijiji. He doesn't do it right.
He's watched the same videos you've watched.
Exactly. And then you spend another, $10,000 doing this floor. And so working with reputable people and I just don't think if you spend the money up front and work with the right people, it stings hearing like that someone else can do a tile job or a flooring job or whatever cheaper, a renovation cheaper.
Yeah.
It's so hard being like, I'm going to spend the money, but the value that it brings long term, that's invaluable.
And that's what I love about the place I'm at now at Worlds. They do care about their customers, and they want that feedback in 10, 15 years of how it's performed and how they don't care about. I've been places where it's just get it done and get them in, or this is the product you want to move. There's better you see all that type of stuff where it's a good system where we want you guys happy, then we're happy, that it works. And I think that's the kind of the style you guys are going after too. You want that down the road.
Oh yeah. Well, like a lot of the buildings we're making are the rental properties.
Yeah.
Not only do I want it to like function and feel the way that like if I was living there that I want it to be, but also down the road, like you're renting out to people with pets or people that like it's a rental to them. As much as like we have really good tenants, it has to be super, super durable.
Yeah.
And I think people have the mindset of, it's just a rental. So then they put in the cheapest product where it's like, well, you should actually probably spend a little bit more or spend a little bit more on the prep work.
Yeah.
Just so that it lasts longer. Not the idea of like, I'm going to put in the crappiest product so that it lasts a year and I don't care.
Yeah.
Because that's how landlords just end up like giving up on real estate investing because they're like, well, I'm just done with the maintenance. Well, it's like, well, spend a bit more.
Yeah.
Educate yourself, work with good renovators, and then you don't have those issues constantly, and you have happier tenants. People want to stay longer. Like if every time they go to do something in their house and the floor's moving or the cabinets are breaking or appliances are breaking, they're not going to want to stay there.
No.
Or you tell them, the rent went up. Well, they're like, no, forget it. I don't want to deal with that. So definitely a tough life lesson. I think people say they tripping over dimes to get to dollars, tripping over dollars to get to dimes.
Yeah.
Just saying that like, stop being cheap, basically.
sometimes paying a bit more saves you a bit more in the end.
Yeah. We're already we're almost at an hour here of chatting. But we were at tile and saying, okay, so good things about tile is like it's durable, it lasts forever. If you need to change out one, like I guess you can break out one tile and change it out. It looks good. It feels good on your feet. It's a little bit colder though.
It's colder and a bit harder on your feet. But it's gonna last, and it's a very durable product. You don't see a lot of the common issue. Like if you have a good installer and it's done correctly, it's gonna last your 20 years. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest factor there. So it's like it all comes down to your installer with tile.
Yeah.
Which usually means that you're paying a premium.
Yeah.
So your install costs more, but you get the longevity from it.
Exactly.
Okay, lastly, carpet.
Carpet.
So carpet, in our rentals, we used to put them in, then I took them out for a while. Now I'm doing kind of a bit of both. Yeah, what are your thoughts on carpet? Are you seeing the same thing? Like a lot of people are taking them out, or it's still a common
I think
practice?
It's just like everything we've talked about. It's kind of went through its phases, and the last, I'd say 5 years, you hear a lot of people coming in saying, oh no one does carpet anymore. Or, why do you guys have so much carpet? No one does carpet. But you still do see it a lot in basements and bedrooms or master bedrooms. The comfort, people like walking on a cloud. So you can't really beat the feel of it.
Yeah.
But we are seeing more and more of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think for sure the warmth, like in a basement.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a basement suite.
Yeah.
I mean, people can always put down area rugs, which is a good option.
Yeah.
Because people complain about how carpet, it just doesn't last, or like a dog, whatever, pees on it or something. Then you have stains stuff, but you can actually buy a lot of the carpets today that have like if you spill water on it, the water just sits on the top.
Correct. Yeah.
And also if a dog pees on it or something, it doesn't actually soak through.
Correct. Yeah.
So all kinds of products there that are like built for work, like with animals and for your family lifestyle.
And again, that's what happens with all the products is why are people moving away from them? Okay, let's fix that and then put it back in the market. So you're seeing that with the laminates are bringing the waterproof, the carpets are bringing the stains, the stain resistance, and the backing that typically you would have that rough back. I'm trying to put it in terms that everyone can understand.
Behind the
carpet used to be like almost webbing at the back, and anything could go through there. So if you went into a house that smelled like cat urine or pet urine, typically what happened is the animal had the accident on the carpet. They've cleaned it up, but it's stuck in the underpad or even the subfloor underneath that, and you can't get that out.
Yeah.
So now there are the carpets that have like the backing on it, which is like a layer underneath that prevents anything getting through towards your pad or subfloor. Yeah. So it'll just sit in your carpet until it's cleaned up.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
And the warmth, which is really, really nice. Like we are talking about before, like if you have to replace a carpet, you're not having to take off all the baseboards, like carpet with carpet. And sometimes you can even keep the like tack strip or the underlay, which is great. So yeah, like you're saying, like the replacement cost is pretty quick and easy and cheap. But the biggest thing that I'm finding on our rental properties is that if we have multiple people living in one building, sound is a huge thing. And so we can sound insulate and put Sonopan and Resbar, and we can do the whole 9 yards to try and sound insulate. Yeah. But a big thing is that when people are walking upstairs, it's not actually like the sound of someone playing music upstairs or watching a movie. It's that people hear the footsteps through those joists. And so we actually use carpet as like another sound barrier that works really, really well. So get a thicker like underlay, and then you don't have to get like some fancy carpet, but whatever, you just put it not in probably like kitchen, dining, bathroom, like even hallways I keep it out of, but your living room and bedroom. So that's kind of mostly where people are doing the most walking around, is kind of near their TV. So then if that has carpet, you're not, each step the sound is dampened by the carpet, and you're going to have way less noise complaints through.
Yeah, we do see that a lot in the townhouses. Especially, and there'll be certain ratings you have to meet, but definitely like the carpets are the ones that act as an insulation almost, and a sound barrier. So I'd say that's one of the biggest positives for the carpet is the feel, the sound, and the installation. Mm-hmm. And then the amount of prep work that has to go into it is very little.
Yeah, so if you have humps or bumps or dips or whatever.
Bumps, carpet. And that's the thing. And that you do see that a lot. And that's when they'll come in and they're like, oh, I want to move to a vinyl. I have carpet in my basement. And as soon as you hear that, it's like, okay, you have to be those There's
do a lot of prep.
Which no one tells you if you're just going to your hardware stores that those things get missed often.
Yeah.
The amount of prep work that you see under carpet is crazy because it's just put over anything.
Right.
By the time you get a half an inch under pad and then your half an inch carpet, you have an inch of foam. It's kind of hard to feel anything under there.
Well, and I think that's why most basements, a lot of builders, basement, it's like, your basement's going to have all kinds of dips, so that's the easiest. Just throw carpet throughout. Definitely easiest, but it doesn't give you that Pinterest look sometimes. Yeah. So, I guess to kind of like wrap all this up, lots of pros and cons with each, and like knowing what product you're buying, and who you're working with seems to be the biggest factors here. But at the end of the day, I think we get caught up in looking at these amazing finished product, like these pictures online, and people go like, I want my house to look like that. Where this is actually has so much more to do with the actual functionality and the use of your home. And if you just go after a look, you're either like paying an insane amount of money or it's just not practical.
I think that's everything in life. Everyone's chasing that filtered picture, or that it's everything where you have to, it's your lifestyle and what works for you guys that is going to perform best for you guys and make the most sense.
Well, and working with people, we had an example where a client actually hired a certain interior designer. That interior designer, again, was only going after look of something. And then once we went to go quote it, they wanted to change out a bonus room. It had carpet. They want to change it to a vinyl plank. And then they're like, look how nice it'll look. And this vinyl plank is, I don't know what it was, $4 a square foot. Like, it's reasonable. But they didn't realize, like, we actually have to do like a lot of prep to the floor. Like, we have special transitions. How are we transitioning to the stairs? Now the stairs installation is really expensive. Now the baseboard height is off, so you have to rip off all the baseboard. Now we have to patch the walls, paint the baseboard. Now it's like out of control, and people are like, I just didn't want the look of carpet in the bonus room. It's like, it's not that simple.
No, exactly. And that's the thing, is coming to us, just talk to someone that knows. Don't just assume that you've watched a video and this is how it is, or you've seen a picture somewhere where why does it work? Why do you want it? How do you live in your house?
Well, not just the cheapest either, too.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. I think we're over an hour. So well done. Well done. Thanks, Dexter, for coming on. My name's Nick Pentelechuk with Cleancut Real Estate. This is Dexter with World Floor Coverings. If you need any advice or help with your flooring needs, go talk to Dexter. You guys are off of like 99th Street or something?
Yeah, right off of 91st and White Mud, 9206 51st Avenue.
There you go, right beside Pfeifendeckel. So then you can go get a pie after.
And maybe I'll be a little less nervous there.
Probably not. No. And I want to connect with more people who are looking to do flips or real estate investing. I want to talk practical knowledge of what you're doing to find success there. So reach out on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. DM us, and we'd love to get to know more people out there. So thanks again.
Thanks, Nick. Pleasure as always.
See ya at the shop at Pfeifendeckel.
Sounds good.
Goodbye.
Thanks.